A massive Russian attack on Ukraine this morning. Russian officials were ordered to delete the cables, and France extended Durov's arrest. The Russian army is massively cleaning up correspondence, and the Belgorod region is being cut off from the Federation by local authorities. Proletarsk has been burning for the 8th day. Large-scale fire in Crimea. The Russians killed security advisor Reuters. The main news at this moment. Further.
What do you think? How will it all end?
Our victory, definitely. But I'm afraid there will be nothing left of Ukraine.
And what is victory, in this case?
Victory for everyone to live in peace. And no one attacked our state.
So that everyone lives in peace, but nothing remains of Ukraine. This is the principle by which Russia acts. This morning, the terrorist country again attacked the energy sector of Ukraine. Power outages have been implemented nationwide, and there have been fatalities. The mayor of Lusk reported an attack on an infrastructure facility and 1 fatality. Explosions were also heard in Kyiv, Vinnytsia, Kryvyi Rih, Kropyvnytsky, Dnipro, Lviv region, and Odesa. Information about the dead is now being clarified, but it is known for sure that there are dead in the Dnipro region and 1 civilian was killed in the Zaporizhzhia district, as Ivan Fedorov reported. Emergency blackouts have been introduced throughout Ukraine, DTEK reports. Russians attacked energy facilities in the Lviv region, according to the administration. In Kyiv, there is no water in several districts of the city, Public's right. In the Poltava region, an industrial facility was damaged as a result of shelling. This was announced by Governor Philip Pronin. 5 people were injured. Outages at the facilities of Ukrenergo. DTEK has introduced emergency shutdowns. The occupiers are again hitting energy system facilities in the regional centers of Ukraine. Today, cruise missiles flew as far as Transcarpathia. The local administration posted a video showing a machine gun targeting a rocket at the Transcarpathian Lviv border. Social media reports suggest it's the Transcarpathian 650th Separate Anti-Aircraft Machine Gun Battalion in action.
Shoot down! Shoot down!
In the Kyiv region, there is damage to infrastructure facilities. It is known about 1 wounded, he is in the hospital. 3 more people were injured in the Mykolaiv region. In Dnipropetrovsk, a man was pulled out from under the rubble of a summer house. He is being helped. In total, 15 regions of Ukraine were affected this morning as a result of a massive Russian attack. Follow the updates on Channel 24. We will tell you about all the consequences of this attack, these strikes. In the meantime, let's move on. For more than a week, it has been burning in the Rostov region. A large fire at an oil depot in Proletarsk has not been extinguished for the 8th day. Local residents still complain that there is a lot of smoke, it is difficult for them to breathe. But no emergency measures are taken.
The footage is blurred.
Let me remind you that the fire at the oil depot began after the attack of Ukrainian UAVs. According to Osinto analysts, at least 14 fuel tanks were destroyed there. What is security from Putin? The Russian Federation reports drone attacks in Saratov and Engels. The network showed footage of drones that hit the Engels City 4 residential complex, as well as the fall of a drone on the Volga Sky residential complex, the tallest building in Saratov, and the consequences of the incident. According to the governor of the Saratov region, air defense forces seem to have eliminated UAVs and there are facts of debris falling into residential buildings in Saratov and Engels. The Russian official added that emergency services are working in an enhanced mode. And the fact that Russian air defense again shoots down everything aimed at city residents is obvious. Let me remind you that in Engels there is an airfield where 295 strategic bombers are based. They write that 11 of them took off at the same time to bomb Ukraine. From the houses to the flying military unit and the military airfield in Engels, it is an average of 15 minutes drive, according to Russian sources. The public writes that the number of victims of the UAV attack on Saratov has increased to 4. 1 woman is in serious condition, hospitalized, as the local governor writes. The Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation said that a total of 20 drones were shot down overnight over the territory of the Federation. A fire broke out in Crimea on 15 hectares. According to the Russian Ministry of Emergency Situations, Mi-8 helicopters trolleybuses dropped 35 tons of water on the source of the fire. About 100 people are being evacuated from the village of Rasvet near the village of Orjonikidze in the southeast of Crimea due to a natural fire. According to Gorlita Aksionov, the risk of fire spreading to the territory of the Volga Garden Association also exists. The Russians claim that the fire broke out for natural reasons. But there is never much trust in their sources. In the Belgorod region, the flag of Ukraine was raised on a water tower. The video was filmed in the Hyverin district, in the village of Novostroka. Russia continues to lose control over its territories. And even on Channel 1, the truth is already slipping through that this is not an attack on the Kursk nuclear power plant, which was heroically repulsed, but a banal hole in the Russian defense.
I would also note such an important thing. This is the trap of initial success. It still seems to me that they did not count on such a rapid breakthrough in the Ukrainian General Staff. That is, well, something went wrong, apparently, in our defense. That is, initially Ukraine had a smaller plan, and then they had the opportunity to go deeper. And something clicked in the head of the Ukrainian command, and they said, "Here, this is our key to success. Now we will move far ahead. So we are throwing all reserves, everyone we can, into this breakthrough. And even when we are now effectively stopping them, this inertia still remains, and the Ukrainian General Staff continues to send soldiers forward. Forward, forward, forward. Simply because they cannot admit to themselves and cannot admit, I don't know, to Zelensky, to Western puppeteers, that they will not be able to break through the defenses further, reach Kursk and so on, in this direction. It's just such a success trap."
In connection with the events in the Belgorod region, entry to 3 more settlements will be restricted. The complete closure of the villages of Dronovka and Peroz of the Gravoronsky district and Stary Kuta of the Valyuski district was announced at a government meeting, Vyacheslav Gladkov. This issue will be considered at the next meeting of the regional operational headquarters. The governor instructed that social support measures be provided to residents of the affected areas and that they be included in the Federal Assistance Register for Housing. Authorities are expected to hold meetings with village residents soon, either directly or, as usual, in Kursk. The real attitude of the Kremlin towards the residents of the Belgorod region or the occupied territories was voiced by propagandist Tatiana Montian.
Initially, the Donetsk people there believed that we were somehow different. We were like a naughty dog. They seemed to throw them leftovers, and as if they were not allowed into the booth. However, it seems that the treatment of the Belgorod region is relatively consistent and fair, and they let go about it. Well, that's it, that the bosses are only interested in what the bosses themselves have, and ordinary people are not interesting to anyone and nowhere. Whether in Donbass, or in Belgorod, or where there were floods, no one is interested in anything.
Also, the Russian Ministry of Defense reported on the downing of drones, including over the Belgorod region, this night. Let's see. Meanwhile, in the Kursk region, they continue to fight Nazism with patriotic videos. The first thing I want to note is that the terrorist Denis Pushilin came to Smirnov in Kursk, who, apparently, is doing so well in the self-proclaimed so-called Donetsk People's Republic that he went to help the Kursk people.
Guys from the Donetsk People's Republic came, work here, help them. This is a common life. This is our one big family, and we will continue to live on our land, develop it and protect it so that it remains free. Alexei Smirnov took part in a meeting of the Coordinating Council of the Russian Ministry of Defense on military security of border areas.
Let me remind you that at this meeting, Smirnov reported on how many people voluntarily fled from the region, and these, according to him, are already 133,000. But in the next minute of the video, the governor is already talking about the imminent liberation of the Kursk region.
Fighting is going on here again. Again tanks with crosses. They are in these fields. I am sure that the Kursk region will be liberated soon. and those areas that are now subject to attacks, they will be restored. There will be another memorable date for Kursk residents, for Russians. The day of a new victory on our Kursk land.
France has extended the arrest of Telegram founder Pavel Durov, writes AFP. The initial period of detention for interrogation in France can take a maximum of 96 hours. After that, the Suzio must either release Durov or bring charges and arrest him. Today, the Paris prosecutor's office plans to make a statement to the press in connection with the Durov case, according to Russian propagandists. Russian Telegram channels claim that employees of a number of law enforcement agencies, as well as officials, the presidential administration and the government of Russia, have been ordered to delete their official correspondence on Telegram. Propagandist Simon Yan urged everyone who had sensitive correspondence in the messenger to do this.
What is the main thing in the story with Durov? That everyone who is used to using Telegram for sensitive conversations and correspondence should delete these correspondence right now and no longer do so. Because Durov was locked up to take the keys, and he will give them back.
Russian publics write that Putin instructed to create a completely Russian analog of Telegram and is waiting for the results in a month. All officials, military and special services employees will allegedly have to switch to the new messenger. The development of the instruction was assigned to several ministries and agencies, including the Ministry of Digital Development, the Ministry of Defense, the FSB, Roskomnadzor, and the Special Communications Service. Billionaire and ex-owner Elon Musk urged French authorities to release Durov and spoke out against the suppression of free speech in his characteristic style. One of Musk's posts about Durov's detention said, "In 2030 Europe, you are being detained for liking the wrong thing." Since Saturday evening, Russian propaganda has been using news about Durov to suggest that freedom of speech on the internet is worse in the West than in Russia. In addition, turn the situation to your advantage by building events into manuals. Medvedev yells that Durov was arrested for being Russian blood. The former mayor of Arkhangelsk Donskoy held a solo picket in support of freedom of speech. Ombudsman of the Russian Federation, Moskalyova, also addressed this long-forgotten phenomenon in Russia.
It is quite obvious that the true reason for the arrest of Pavel Durov is an attempt to close the Telegram internet platform, where you can find out the truth about the events taking place in the world. This causes protest from all those who strive for freedom of speech and the structure of a multipolar world.
Just a few years ago, Russian authorities demanded encryption keys from Durov and attempted to force him to cooperate with the FSB. And after his refusal, the messenger was unsuccessfully blocked for 4 years. It seems they still attempt to limit Telegram's operations. Let me remind you that Telegram in Russia has been blocked from time to time for a long time, since 2018. On April 13th, the Tagansky court in Moscow decided to block Telegram in Russia for refusing to hand over encryption keys. In fact, after Durov refused to leak the data of his users to the special services. The messenger can be used by terrorists, the FSB said, and on April 16th, Roskomnadzor sent demands to telecom operators to restrict access to Telegram, and then blocked some of the IP addresses of Amazon, Microsoft and Google. Now the messenger, although intermittently on the territory of Russia, continues to work. The Moscow Times writes that the problems have become more frequent in the past few days. For the third time in a week, Russia experienced widespread outages affecting both Telegram and WhatsApp. This is evidenced by data from down detector and crashes. RF. Users can't connect to servers when they try to open a conversation or channel. At the same time, push notifications in new messages continue to come, but it is simply impossible to open them. Traditionally, if you connect to VPN, the problems disappear. In Russia, this is considered a new attempt to block Telegram. On the channel of the propagandist Solovyov, they continue to promote the narrative that the US Special Services reached out to Durov purely for political reasons.
Macron needs political points in the eyes of his owners. The United States, that representatives of the American intelligence services have repeatedly made encroachments towards Pavel and his employees. Western services are convinced that representatives of Russian security structures use the messenger for their work, and most of the information war takes place on the fields of Telegram. If you think for a second, in principle, about the nature of the accusations against Pavel, then a completely logical question arises: where is the warrant against Zuckerberg? On its sites, criminal groups work openly. Where the warrant is for the director of the Federal Reserve, dollars are used to pay for drugs and weapons of people, including children. As for his possible future, I have consulted with French lawyers and international human rights activists, and so far I have received only bad forecasts.
Aren't such correspondences conducted on the platform? After all, as Z channels quote the head of the Center for the Development of Transport Technologies, Alexei Rogozin, the arrest is very equivalent to the arrest of the head of communications of the Russian army, who said that the transfer of intelligence, artillery adjustments, the broadcast of the video stream of Scopters and much more today is really carried out very often by means of Telegram, and propagandists talk about this without hiding.
I want to say to all those who want to block Telegram, just yesterday we guided the Iskander on Telegram. Our artillery is guided by Telegram. Our aviation is guided by Telegram. Whether someone likes it or not, this is reality. We are fighting on the internet. Sorry, we have drone broadcasts via Discord. We have guidance through Telegram. We work with our sources of information through Telegram. Someone likes it or not.
Are these the same sensitive correspondence that Simonyan wrote about? I think that after such statements, there are no questions left why Russia is so eager to take citizen Durov to its territory and take away all the keys from him with its own hands, before they fall into the hands of foreign special services. Traditionally, they try to spice it up with stories about US agents, patriotism and imaginary freedom of speech. And one more question. If the detention of Durov is purely political and European legislation provides only for economic penalties for the act, as Solovyov's henchmen claim, then why did all the Russian publics yesterday unanimously shout that Durov faces 20 years in prison? Security advisor Reuters was killed in Kramatorsk when the Russian occupiers hit the hotel where the journalists were staying. Russia struck Sapphire on the night of August 25. As a result of the shelling, a two-story hotel building was partially destroyed, and a high-rise building nearby was also damaged. 4 were injured: journalists, citizens of Ukraine, the United States and Great Britain. The prosecutor's office reported that Russian troops hit with an Iskander-M missile. A member of the Reuters team, who was covering the war in Ukraine, is missing, and 2 others were hospitalized after hitting the hotel. Later, rescuers retrieved the man's body from under the rubble of the destroyed hotel. A member of the Reuters team, 38-year-old Ryan Evans, was killed. The former military man has been working with the agency since 2022 and has advised Reuters journalists on security in different parts of the world, in particular in Ukraine, Israel, and the Paris Olympics. Our condolences. On this, friends, we put an ellipsis. We continue to record the aggression of the enemy. We continue to record our victories. Yana Bohoslavska worked with you in the studio. We will definitely see you again.